Hey, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Foundry Virtual Tabletop version 12 from the game up, from the ground up, not game up. So in our last episode, I think we came to a good spot to actually. I don't think we need to go fight Clark or anything. We talked about all the different outcomes, the different paths that might happen, and that's one thing to keep in mind when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. You don't always want your players to feel like they're being railroaded, like you have to go, fight Clark. Yes, eventually they might end up coming back here because they talk to, what's her face at the Lion Shield Cloister, I think, and end up coming back to get those things. At that point, they end up killing Clark. There might be some additional random goblins here and there, but ultimately, you don't want to say, oh no, you have to go fight Clark. At that point, they can choose, try and wander off into the forest and see if they can find Craigmaw Keep without any other information about it. They can, try and kill Clark, or they could just take, Sildar and take him to Phandalin, and he might try and seed them back. So usually you can always come back to a place or have something that brings you back to kind of complete the story. Usually you're going to have multiple things that will keep the story on the track, I guess, even though that's railroading. But then there's also lots of different side quests to make it feel or give the illusion that you're not railroading. So like I said, that feels like a decent place to actually call it. So as you can see, we're actually at the Game World screen in Foundry Virtual Tabletop version 12. Man, I can't talk today. And what I was thinking, what we're going to do now is we're going to start looking at D&D mods. And instead of actually using the world that we already have that has the Lost Mine of Phandelver and the underneath the obelisk, I can't even remember the name of it fully. We'll just create a new one and kind of start from scratch. And I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to go through the different mods, because if we look here, we can actually see I have like 165. If we're scrolling down, we see lots of them that are yellow, which means they haven't been tested. They're like a version, maybe 2 behind. We have some down here a little further that are red that says this is an unsupported core version, that there's no, it's more than likely going to break it. However, I have found things that actually do work, even though they say they don't. Case in point, well, I guess not red ones necessarily. We only have 2 red ones. So just because we have them in this list doesn't necessarily mean we're actually going to go over them. This basically is the copy of all the modules I had running in Virtual Tabletop version 11, or maybe even 10, and I just haven't gone through really to clean things out. Also, I haven't had a chance to do it, but I'd really like to kind of do a first look on Foundry Virtual Tabletop version 13, and just talk about the new features and how I feel about the changes they've made and stuff like that. So in this one, what we're going to do is we're going to load it up, and then we're just going to kind of work down the list. Mostly it'll be basically just top to bottom. Some of the modules we might figure out things that I didn't necessarily know about, because we're going to kind of deep dive into some of them, but not extremely deep. I mean, if it's things that get even more than I would care about in my games, I'm not going to jump into those, but we will probably look at different features and explore how the ones that seem most useful to me actually work in the game and ways you can use it. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's go ahead and get started. I've already been rambling for about 4.5 minutes, so yeah, let's get started. So we're going to create a world. I'm going to just call it D&D, D and D, and we'll leave the 5e, and then in parentheses I'll just do mods. Uppercase maybe. And we're gonna do kind of the same thing when we do the Pathfinder. We'll do a short adventure talking about the interface, all that stuff like we did. We'll do the beginning of the beginner's box, excuse me, like the first battle there, because I don't want to really spoil too much. Although, if you don't know much about it already, it's been out for, I think, a year or so. So, really, if you don't know anything about it yet, you've been living under a rock or something. All right, so let's go ahead and create this one and launch it. I've already upgraded everything. I've done updates on everything. So as a default, we don't have a password on the game master, and we don't have any players. We're going to simply create a player because I might want to actually bring our player into it. So I'm going to go ahead and clear out the chat, so I really don't care about that. First thing we're always going to do is go into user management. We're going to change the game master to have a password, like so. Like that, and then I always create my players, and in this case we're just gonna create a single player. This will be Tazzy. We can even change this to Tasman T for ZZ and for NN, and no password on Tazzy. Yeah, because the other one doesn't save the password. And then we're gonna leave them player and save return. And we're not going to save that. All right, so now that we've done that, now we can click on Tasman, click join game. Already has the password because of the web interface. And we can actually start in what I normally do. So we've already gone over the entire interface for version 12. So first thing I usually do is I'll come in and I like to enable one module first, and then actually it helps you with all the others, because this interface kind of it's okay, but I kind of like the other one. So if we scroll down, we'll find one called Module Management Plus. This one's a pretty nice one. It has two dependencies, librapper and socketlib. So you'll definitely want to make sure you already have those downloaded. I do, of course. So librapper is right there, and if we scroll all the way down here, we will actually, I think it's called socketlib or something like that. It's irrelevant. Let's go ahead and just activate those. I'm pretty sure it's not. Oh, actually, it's right there, socketlib. Hit save. This will reboot your thing, and this is going to come up with some things saying, "Hey, we've now done that." It's going to ask about this, and this is one of the really nice things that come up with it. It actually scans your modules and sees what things have new stuff. So you're not always going to get this exact same thing, but it says, for example, DF quality of life, and then you can come in here and actually see the change log for it. And then drag ruler, and you'll notice each time we do one, it actually unmarks the eye saying that we've now seen that one. We're just going to go ahead and say mark all as seen, and then we're going to close that. The next thing we have here is saying migration to version 203 is complete, but it requires you to reload. So we're going to do this. It's going to reload our page once again. And now we will have this little guy right here, which is asking if you want to enable the global conflicts. And this, from what I understand, it's just like a Google Doc or something like that, and it checks it for known issues. So if you read this, it says, please note, MM Plus, Module Manager Plus, will grab conflicts from a publicly available Google Sheet. Oh, there it is right there. Using this feature will mean that Google receive your IP address. If you're uncomfortable with this, do not enable this feature. Global conflicts is not meant to be an accurate way to track issues. Instead, it's meant to inform you of issues that may exist. The issues provided via global conflicts may be outdated. Please don't harass developers over information. So I usually just say yes. I've never actually had it say something saying, this is an issue. So if we go into now our configure settings, we actually have a couple. We have librapper, which doesn't have a lot of options. Once again, it's a library, so it just kind of runs in the background. Not a lot to configure. We have the notify GM of issues, so if we have issues, it'll notify us. We have notify players. I usually leave that unchecked. High performance mode. As you can see, this will make it so that some of the things are disabled to actually, give you more high performance. We also have the libwrapper settings. I don't even think I've ever even really come into here. Never found a real reason to. And then the verbosity. What level do we want it to give us? We could have every type of warning or something like that. Any message that comes, it'll pop up for us. Debug only, information warning. I just leave it where it is. Just the warning stuff. So if we go next to module management, this is actually our module management. If we changed our mind and said, oh, I don't want it to enable that global conflicts, we can come in here, click global conflicts, uncheck, and boom, it won't do it anymore. There's also the store rollback when loading presets. So you actually, with module management, you can actually save what modules you have active. So you could go into another world and tell it to, save that, then go into another world and, tell it to restore it. And then it will have all the same modules in both of them. So here's the rollback information here. Lockable modules. So for example, when you go into module management now, you'll see that we have lots of little icons. This one will take you to the website. This one kind of gives you an idea of where the reports. It's just a lot of information you can get off of it. But you'll notice if we come down to module management, it actually has a lock on it now, which means we can't actually disable it properly, right? So we'll just leave it on. You'll notice also this actually says its last verified version was 11. I haven't seen any issues with this one, so if you guys see any issues, let me know and I'll update the video. So I'm gonna go ahead and just close that because I don't care about resaving that and rebooting. So that's the lock settings it's talking about, or you can just hide them. So once you tell something to be locked, it'll actually hide it from players, not necessarily the GM. GM can always see it. Let's see what else was I doing. So we have a disable prompt when syncing your settings. So that's just going to, instead of constantly prompting you say I'm syncing your settings, it will actually pop that up. Defaults that. Obviously that's the default, everything that you see here. Big picture mode, don't really even know what that is. I'm assuming that's the big window that pops up that lets you go through the stuff. Enable this feature will set the module management configure settings window to full height. Yeah. Show active modules is set to hidden. When enabled, this will show a list of active modules in the settings tab of the sidebar. It actually shows you a list of the active. That would be huge. New change logs and unload. There's actually quite a bit here. Add to the Google spreadsheet. That will, I think, basically if it detects issues with some things that you have, it will actually add to that sheet automatically. Dialog so it's prompting for dependencies, smart labels. Most of the stuff, to be honest, I never have changed anything in here. When enabled, this will prefix modules with an arrow icon to indicate that it's grouped. Oh, I know what that is. I can show you that in just a second. And smart prefix thinks is best. For example, modules with the library flag will be prefixed with a library, and I can show you what that is. So we'll go and I don't think we changed anything. We'll hit save change. So the smart prefix is, for example, when we come down in here, we get lots of these library. Even this one normally doesn't show up as library. So it's actually adding library there, trying to tell you this is a library. And then the other thing it's talking about is this right here. So mobile improvements actually requires or is a dependency of that. If we enable this, it will probably pop up saying you have to have that one enabled, which we don't want. The other thing I really like about this module specifically is the fact that you can manage your presets. You can actually create presets so that you can quickly activate and deactivate set mods. So if I have things that actually help me when I'm actually creating maps, things that maybe give me different wall options and stuff like that, but once you're playing the game, that's not needed. You can free up memory by actually telling it, don't do that. So you create a preset that says this is when I'm GM prep, and then have a preset playtime or something like that. And then you can actually go disable some of those. For example, there's wall height's probably not a good example, but I think I have one called DF curvy walls. Oh, look, there's a huge one that has dependency. Let's see, DF. I think there's one called curves or something like that. CUR. Yeah, there it is. Under cursor. Why is that a dependency of cursor hider? Oh no, this is because I have cur. I was like, wait a minute, that's not a dependency. Ignore that. That's because this actually is a dependency of library df module buttons. So if we go look at this, I'll just show you really quick. I shouldn't have enabled that. If we go look at this, what this does, for example, is, can I click on any of these and get bigger ones? That didn't help. Let me hit control. Ooh. So for example, what this is doing is it actually allows you to place a beginning and an end kind of thing, and then use like your Bezier curves to actually automatically create it. This isn't something that's needed in game because you're actually creating the walls, it's creating the curves and stuff like that outside of the game. Let's put this back to 100 real quick and look at what else it's doing here. You can see. So as you can see, there's a good, I can't mouse over these, otherwise it's going to try and do something. But see how that's working? You can actually use these Bezier, I can't remember what they're actually called, but it allows you to actually kind of make curved walls much easier. You can do entire circles or something like that. Over here we have rectangle with segmented sides. So you can see it's actually creating a rectangle. Really don't want to keep dragging over that. So those are things that maybe you could disable if you're having issues with memory being slow or something like that. You can actually set those to be under a different profile. Let's go and kill that. The next thing I really like about this is this actually shows you all your modules. It can instantly show you just the modules you actually have active. It can show you only inactive modules, and then it can also show you just locked modules. So we only have module management that is locked. Then of course here we have our export modules, which will save our current layout and what's enabled, what's disabled, and then we can import. The other thing we can do is using, let's just go back to all. We can use this and it actually expands everything to give you more information than the previous one did. So you actually can get that. You can do the same thing. This just does it all at once. So we can collapse them all. If we come down, do that, and then we want to, okay, I want to close it all, whatever. So we can do that. Then you can actually do this and deactivate all, can't mouse over it. Let's close that back up real quick. So you can deactivate all unlocked modules. So that would be anything, like if I clicked on that right now, it would leave our module management clicked, but it unclicks anything that is not a locked module. If I close that, we don't have to worry about it. All right, so I think that might be okay enough. If you have any questions or if you have any recommendations of what modules, I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of thinking I'd like to go over modules that were in that we were using for our quality of life and stuff, or we could just kind of work our way down the list. Like I said, not every module in here is necessarily going to even be anything we want to use. And I think even if we keep going down, you'll actually see we even have some Pathfinder 2 ones that definitely don't even work in this one, I don't think, but they're just mislabeled. So just because they're in this list does not mean that we're going to be using them. I'm trying to think. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to do as far as they go. We might end up just starting going top down and going from there now that we've got the main one enabled. I know when we're doing Pathfinder 2E, we'll probably enable obviously this one, but then there's also going to be 2 others at least I know of that I probably want to enable, which is PF2E Workbench and PF2E Tool Belt. Features that those will be the ones we go over first. But yeah, I think I'm good here. We're at 20 minutes, which is actually the time I usually want these videos to run, 20 or less. So yeah, I think we're pretty good. We'll just keep on going down this list. So in the next episode, I'm assuming, unless I go and find that this actually has issues, I'm going to play with it, test it, make sure I know a decent amount about it. But we'll probably do active ores in the next one. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Click that little notification bell. Join my Discord channel. Tell other people about this channel. Have them check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. We grow the channel. Everybody wins. And that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.